Welcome back to Phasmophobia. If you guys could like, comment, and or subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Anything that you can do for the channel will help me put more back into the channel for you. All that being said, it's time to buckle up because I'm making this up as I go, and we're going to try to teach the new community, which welcome by the way, how to Phasmophobia. Yeah, this is going to be a long one. You guys love the long videos anyway. At least most of you do. 99% of you do, we'll say. I'm probably going to be coughing through this because somehow I managed to hurt my throat. Yeah, this is going to be great. Probably not really going to cover the massive glowing red black hole in the back of the room because it's just an event. Those happen on occasion, usually around holidays, Halloween, Christmas, stuff like that. So don't worry about that too much. So I'm going to be trying to go over this as though I'm a brand new Phasmophobia player, showing you what you need to be doing and, you know, some tips and tricks to getting through the game. First things first, you should probably start your own single player match. I'm going to dial this down to professional, so there's still a little bit of rewards in it for me. But professional, intermediate, and amateur, that's it, right? Yeah. Amateur are all basically the same, except you get more hiding spaces, you get setup times, stuff like that. Read through what it's got here. It'll tell you the basics of what it's giving you and what it's not giving you, like much fewer hiding places. The important thing for these, after you basically get through your first prestige, is that these three will give you 3 evidence for the ghost type, whereas Nightmare, you only get 2 evidence, and Insanity, you only get 1. And you have to use the ghost hunting traits and non-hunting traits in order to figure out what it is. Some of these are very luck-based, so, you know, good luck with that. So I'll set this up for professional. I'm going to give myself all my tier 3 items, and we're going to go to Tanglewood because I actually didn't even remember this, but when you first start out, you have a lot of maps locked. Like you have to buy them or something, right? I think. Let me know in the comments if you're new and this is making any lick of sense. Yeah. Oh, I should go over what it is. Sit there. So when you load in, that guy's going to start talking. Pretty much nothing that he says actually matters. And to my knowledge, you still can't turn him off, unfortunately. But you have a clock up here. If you're doing amateur or intermediate, this will have a time. This is your setup time. This is the amount of time before the ghost is absolutely allowed to hunt. Unless you use cursed possession, I believe. So you can go inside and do whatever you need to do to set up. And then after that, that ghost can hunt no matter what your sanity is. Segueing into that, the ghost will hunt at specific sanities, and specific ghosts hunt at specific sanities. I don't know any good ones off the top of my head. I think Mare, if you get below 40%, it can hunt even with a light on in a room, and that's back into those non-hunting traits and hunting traits. Mares can never turn on a light, and they can't hunt in a room with a light on unless you're below 40% sanity. Non-hunting traits could be something like this spirit, who if you smudge it with an incense, that's what that is. Smudge, incense, it's interchangeable for that unit there. If you smudge it with an incense, it has to wait 3 minutes, unless the cursed possession is used, to be able to hunt. So if you have a ghost who's hunting rapidly, like minute and a half, minute and a half, minute and a half, which is your normal hunting intervals, and you smudge it, then yeah, it waits like 3 minutes randomly, you probably got a spirit. You could do the test multiple times. Obviously, you have 4 smudges per contract, which is what we're in now. Session, contract, match, whatever you want to call it. They're all interchangeable. Like I said, I'm making this up as I go. I don't have any structure laid out. I'm just going to try to explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. When you load in, the truck is closed. You have to press this button here, but you can press it. And if you wait a second, you can actually press it again. Press it again. There we go. You can hear that little rumble noise and you can stop the truck from leaving, but at the end of the game you press that button, the doors close, you do nothing, and then the truck leaves and that finishes your match. Whether you're alive, whether your friends are alive, and whether or not you selected the correct ghost in the book, which you need to remember to do at the end of every match, otherwise you won't get money for it. You also need to pick up the key. I did so by pressing E. I remapped most of my key binds, so they're not going to be useful to you guys probably. But the key is literally to unlock the front door. You can't get inside without it. That said, that timer does not start until you go into the map front door, or any of the doors, which is relevant, I guess, on some of the other ones. But once you go inside, that timer starts counting down, and the ghost starts becoming active. So some contracts or maps that, like the high school or Sunny Meadows or prison, where they have cameras already inside and you can actually cycle to them before you open the door, you won't see anything like ghost orbs on those cameras until potentially you open the front door and walk in the map. On this wall here, you already saw me pick up a headgear. You could press and hold, I believe it's F still, but press and hold F and you can place things, especially if you're picking them up from the truck, you can place them back into the truck. I have a lighter around here somewhere. I use a scroll wheel. I think you can also use the letter Z. I might have remapped that though. I think I did. So you press escape, options, come over here to controls. These are all your controls. You can remap them how you want to be comfortable with the game. You also have your game settings such as voice recognition, where I'll get into that a little bit later. That's the wrong button. What else do you have in here? Set your languages, aim sensitivities, what your cursor is. So mine's a little blue dot, and I hover over something that does a hand. All kinds of stuff. You want to go through your settings. This is why you're doing your own single-player game at the very least first, so you can get the game set up how you want it. You can set Celsius, Fahrenheit here. You can go to video settings, adjust your brightness how you want. Audio settings, same thing. You can also set up your microphone, which sorry, I got the hiccups now for some reason. Mine for what I'm doing here, so I can talk to you guys and not let the ghosts know where I'm at in the house, especially while hunting. I'm setting the no device. And then, of course, your controls, which we talked about already. All right, so open up the truck. This is my items I have to work with. This is the max items, like max level of items, tier 3, everything. Everybody else starts with tier 1, and when you're just starting the game, you only get tier 1 starting items, which is every necessary evidence item, such as dots, writing book, UV lights, all that, plus a flashlight, and that's it. And then as you level up, you unlock, I think, what's the first thing? You start unlocking other equipment, optional equipment, which is on this wall over here. You can see the divider. And then once you get through most of that, if not all of it, then you start unlocking the tier 2. So it's the upgraded items, which could be flashlights, which with considerably better range and brightness, or better thermals, which update quicker and more accurately. Yeah, sorry, I could be coughing a lot. You do also have access over here. You can press E on these. You can no longer apparently place them back though, but you have access to your daily tasks, which tell you what you got to do and how many times in order to get the reward amount on the right, as well as your weekly tasks, and it shows your progress of your way through it. And then on this board, you have the ghost's name, the case number, which is how many contracts you've played, what the ghost responds to. This is pretty much useful for spirit box, but I think it also works if you're just calling out to the ghost around the house randomly. If you're doing a single player, then it's always going to be, you know, single person or alone. But if it says alone and you're in multiplayer, then when you're trying to use the spirit box to get evidence for it, you need to make sure you're the only person in the ghost room or in the vicinity of the ghost. Ow. As you take photos throughout the contract, they will appear on this board here. And then down at the bottom, you have your objectives. You always have 3 objectives every game. They are unfortunately not based on what you have in your truck. They are based on your level. So if you are below the level that has crucifixes unlock, you will not have one that says prevent the ghost from hunting with the crucifix. What do we have? Find evidence with EMF, witness a ghost event, and escape the ghost during a hunt. You would be able to do all 3 of these with only this item, tier 1 of this item. Granted, you need to have a little bit of skill to escape the ghost during a hunt without a smudge, but you can get all 3 of those right now. So that said, what do I want to do here? Oh, still should probably describe everything that's going on. So by clicking on this, you click on the keyboard to switch to night vision, and you click on the mouse to switch to cameras. There's only one camera on the residential houses, and on the brain's not working. Farmhouses. And then as you take cameras inside, which you just saw me pick up a camera, place it on the tripod, pick up the tripod. Now, if you take a camera, you place it on the tripod, you pick up the camera, you don't pick up the tripod. Oh, and also if you're holding the tripod, somebody else can take the camera off the tripod. It's a little bit dumb, but it almost makes sense. See, I wonder. And apparently you can place the camera and tripod at the same time. Didn't even know that part. And apparently when you set these up in here, you can just look at them. I didn't even realize that. Let's set this guy up right here. Move this guy around to here. You can use, when you upgrade this further, you can actually use these buttons to move the camera back and forth. Look around at some stuff. Neat things like that. Things worth noting when you're going into the contract. Electronic devices, when the ghost is hunting, the ghost knows where you're at if you're using them. This is pretty much only when they are malfunctioning, I think is what the game calls it. So like if you're in here with if you're in there with the flashlight and the ghost is hunting and it's within range, the flashlight will kind of flicker like that. I'm just replicating it by turning it on and off, but that's what the flashlight will do. It'll do that with all the powered on electronics in their own different ways. That pretty much means that the ghost knows where you are. You might as well just screamed out, "Hey, I'm over here." And you better have a smudge or a plan. So, there's that. You can only carry 3 items. Very recently, they allowed us to have a special inventory slot for the lighter. I guess they realized you could shove one of these in your pocket. Probably could do the same with some of this other equipment, but potato, I guess. So yeah, you can hold up 3 items. I usually try to go for at least the thermal, the UV light, which will show you UV as evidence, and I kind of just wing it on the other one, but for the sake of what we're doing, I'll take the EMF, especially since it's an objective. Now for the last wall over here, you have your map layout. This is, I think this always defaults to the first floor. You can go down a floor if there is one. This shows you that the breaker, that little green box with the lightning bolt, is in the basement. And if I think every map has, almost every map has multiple breaker / generator locations. So the other one is right here in the garage. And Tangle is only 2 stories, so you can't go up anymore. If you place any sound sensors, which are these guys right here, in the map, this is where they will show up, as well as motion sensors, I believe. And it'll show a bleep and you actually make an audible noise in the truck, even though you're not inside. And I didn't even realize that you can you can do a lot more options here than I ever thought. Down here, you have Team Sanity. It'll show you the sanity for everybody in the group, as well as your average sanity. I believe the ghost reacts based on the sanity of the people in the house, the average sanity of the people in the contract map. So if you have one guy in the truck all the time and he's at 100% sanity, and you have an objective that says everybody's sanity, or the average sanity must be below 25%, everybody else has to basically be at 0 sanity for that to work out. But for the ghost, if everybody else is in the house at 0 sanity and there's somebody out here at 100% sanity, I believe the ghost assumes or works off the 0% average in the house. You have your activity monitor over here. Every time the ghost does something, you will see an activity from literally 1 to 10. They do stack, so if you see a 3 and then a 2, it'll actually look like an EMF 5, which is an evidence, so don't get that confused. Can't really rely on this too well, but if you see a perfect trapezoid, and this is the time down here at the bottom, so 0 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. If you see a perfect trapezoid that goes from 0 seconds and 0 EMF up to 5 at about, I think it's 1 or half a second, over and then down to about 20 seconds, and it's literally just a perfect trapezoid the whole time through, I call that EMF 5. We'll see if we end up getting it in this match and I can show it off better. So I have my 3 items. I have my lighter. I'm going to go ahead and grab my headgear. You won't have this unlocked when you just start out. And we're going to head on in. And the first goal, there's a few goals. One goal is optional, and it's only if you're interested in getting perfect investigation bonus, which gets you more money. and it does get multiplied by the rewards. So this is professional, which is 3 times rewards. That goal is finding and collecting the bone. There's a bone on every contract. I feel like sometimes they literally fall through the map because sometimes they're basically impossible to find. Also, sometimes I'm just dumb and blind, so who knows. The other objective is to find the ghost room, or I guess the other goal is to find the ghost room. That way, because that room is going to be where the ghost is going to be at the majority of the time of the contract. Sometimes it'll change it. Most of the time it'll be there. That's where you're going to want to set up all of your evidence items and start collecting evidence. And then the last goal, which is also optional, is finding the breaker. You want to find the breaker because if you turn the power on, you will not lose sanity. If you're standing in a dark room like this, you will lose sanity. Breaker starts off on professional. The difficulties it changes. So you have a key right here. This is important if you don't want to be annoyed by a ghost. It spawns an annoying space. This is a hiding space. It is filled with stuff. You cannot hide in here. You heard that, right? So the ghost is over here. It's either in that room or the nursery. Could be in the bathroom. This is a hiding space that you can walk into and close the door. Now, if you're talking in here or you're holding a powered-on piece of equipment, the ghost still knows you're in there and it will beeline straight for it and try to kill you. Everything looks in order here. It looks in order here. There's our bone. That is a jaw just sitting on the bed. The ghost threw something. All the arrows on this EMF are pointing in here. This is probably our ghost room. Ghost has touched his keyboard. That's UV as evidence. That is our first evidence. That's simple. This ghost is just giving us stuff. This is our room. We will start setting up equipment in here. Let's get a baseline temperature, 8 degrees. It will go down. I'm going to go turn on the breaker so I stop draining my sanity while I try to talk. You're going to get a tutorial on a lot of this when you start the game anyway, but, you know, sometimes it helps to have a video. Oh, doors, click and hold and you can move the doors, and yes, they are quite annoying. If I find something else to talk about, I already see the one for this contract. You have cursed possessions. You have access to cursed possessions on anything below the difficulty of insanity. So this is a haunted mirror. If I were to click, or if I were to hold this in my hand and then right click with it, I would pull the mirror up, look into it, and it would show me what the ghost is looking at, which would be the walls of that bedroom. Dude's touching doors. So if I did that, it would show me that. Every time you pull this up to look at it, it costs you 20% of your sanity immediately. And then I think it's like 3 or 5% every second that you keep looking at it. So if you're unlucky, you pulled it up and he's just staring at a wall with no unique features, like this one right here. You have no idea if this is this wall, if that's the wall in one of these bedrooms. You have no idea what you're looking at. So you got to pull it up again or sit there and wait. You're just touching a lot of stuff in there. I'm not sure if that's relevant. So yeah, you have this. You have other cursed possessions. Functionally, those lights flickering actually means nothing, I believe. There's no EMF related to it. Doesn't mean that the ghost is changing rooms or doing anything unique. It's just a thing. There is the ghost doing activity. You can see it did a bit of activity, a bit more activity, and then it dropped down because it did other activity, and then it dropped back down all the way. There is our sanity. We were in the dark for a little bit, and we lost 10% of our sanity. We've already completed an objective by picking up EMF on the reader, and we haven't done any of those two because it hasn't haunted yet, and we haven't had a ghost event yet. So, we found a ghost room, we turned on the breaker, we even found the bone in rapid succession. There's our 3 main-ish, or 1 main goal with 2 optional goals. Now, and we've even gotten an evidence too, which is great. So, we want to get the rest of the evidence items in there. We'll grab the spirit box, the writing book, and I'm going to take this camera in on the tripod. Now, as soon as you cross this threshold, the camera turns on. You can right-click and turn it into night vision mode, which is required to see ghost orbs. We'll pop in here. We know the ghost is in this room. We can turn off the light to make it easier to see. Oh, look at that. That's a ghost orb. That thing floating around. Now, if I take this into, let's say the kitchen's probably, kitchen and dining room's probably the best example of this. So you see all this shiny stuff that's shimmery and shiny, and it's really not coming across because I've worked on my graphics settings. But if you see something shimmer for a second and then never again, that's not a ghost orb. On the tier 3 video cam, it is really easy to tell that that's not ghost orbs. If you're using the tier 1, there's our ghost event. That is physically the ghost model, so if it drains our sanity enough, it will hunt. I also got more UV when I touch that door. That's something to be cautious of too. It just turned off the breaker. That dick. I forgot about the writing book. I'll put this in here since it wants to interact with so many items. And then just press and hold F to place that. And the tripod, you just drop it. I think drop is G. At least that's what I set mine to. Yep, that's from the event that it just did. It spiked it up to EMF 10, and then it did some stuff just here. Alright, there we go. I think normal ghost events, if they touch you, which you will hear the kind of noise, or the kind of noise, which I'm hoping that's coming across decently, they will take away, I believe it's 15% of your sanity. So we were at basically 90, minus 15 would be 75, and then we stayed in the dark for a little bit, so that's the other 5% gone. We're down to 70% sanity. There you can see it's still doing activity in there, even though nobody's in the house right now. So it did activity, then it did more activity, it's stacking on here. You don't want to get fooled or get an EMF 5 mimicry kind of thing going on because of that. So we got more evidence items in there. The last one we need to get in there is dots. Oh, so a spirit box in our hand. Oops. We'll test for that here in a second. I'm going to take sanity because I'm still trying to explain things and I don't need the ghost trying to kill me while I'm doing that. And for funsies, we'll take a crucifix. Crucifix prevents the ghost from hunting. The tier 1 prevents 1 hunt. The tier 2 and 3 prevent 2 hunts each. And tier 3 has a significantly larger range and prevents hunts from cursed possessions. So I was talking about the mirror and the other cursed possessions do similar things. If I pull up this mirror and I do not have enough sanity to look at it, the mirror will break and a cursed hunt will start, where it's almost double the hunt length, which I think normal hunt length for sometimes is about 30 to 45 seconds. It'll basically be hunting for a solid minute. If the ghost is within range of the tier 3 crucifix, the tier 3 crucifix will stop that cursed hunt. That's pretty much all there is to it. I'm back up to 100% sanity from earlier. I'm just going to set things up in here. This is not as easy as it used to be. I guess we'll go for right here. Press and hold F when you're looking at a wall or whatever structure they want you to place this on now. And there's that. Let's check our temperature. -degrees degrees. And there's also a ghost over there. So on this, anything less than 1 degree Celsius will be freezing temps. I'm trying to do things. I am... Oh wait, it's not a mirror? Really? Okay. Oh no, we already have ghost orbs, so we know it's a Hantu. Alright, I'm shutting that off. That's annoying. It was so annoying. So spirit box, I have mine set up to text. If I right click, I can go through. It's a mimic. How convenient. So if you see, I have 4 pieces of evidence. I have freezing temps, I have ultraviolet, I have ghost orbs, and I have spirit box. And if you recall me saying from the start, you know, this game mode only has 3 evidence. So the mimic is a unique ghost. It will always have 1 evidence more than the mode you're playing in. And it will always have ghost orbs. So even if you get leveled up enough, you can do custom difficulties where you can set it to 0 evidence. And if you have a mimic, you will still have ghost orbs even if you do that. So in this case, we actually have a mimic. So we can... And the mimic's evidence, if you're wondering why it's grayed out right now, is not ghost orbs, ironically enough, but they will always have them. So in the book, if you have these evidences, you have the mimic, and if you have ghost orbs on top of that, then you definitely have a mimic kind of deal. Not that there's much of a decision about it. The mimic is a unique ghost because it, as I was kind of really hoping that it mimicked a Yuri there, it would have been hilarious. The mimic can mimic the hunting traits and non-hunting traits of other ghosts, as well as some of their unique characteristics. So, an example of this is a Hantu with the breaker off while it's hunting will have cold breath emitting from its mouth. I'll show you that more in there, actually. We'll just take a pop in here. Got a hiccup now. What the hell? So if I pop in here, you'll see momentarily that I have cold breath. There's kind of a remnant of it, but we'll wait till my character does it again. There we go, cold breath right there. The ghost model will have that on their mouth while they're trying to hunt and kill you. So it's a unique feature. You gotta kind of, be able to see the ghost, which there's looping spots while it's hunting, and you can just walk around like a kitchen island or something like that. And you just gotta watch the ghost model to see if that happens. Other ones are like the Obake will shapeshift between ghost models. So there's like a little demon child. There's a tall, lanky, burned man. There's a grandma. There's a butcher. There's a dude with a sickle running around. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. So that's the Obake is the only ghost that'll do that. Asterisk, the mimic can mimic that ability. The mimic pretty much mimics a ghost and then it hunts, and then it has, I think it re-rolls, so it can still re-roll the same ghost multiple times in a row if you just have bad luck like that. But I think functionally that's how it works. So we already have our evidence. We know what the ghost is, so we could just hit the button and leave right now. Or objectives, we have 2 out of 3, so we just need to escape the ghost during a hunt. And photos, we need 10 photos. You're allowed to delete 2 now, which is remarkable because we didn't used to have that ability. So, neat way to cheat photos. We know where the bone is, that's 1 photo. The ghost is doing a fair amount of abilities. We could get the ghost photo from one of those abilities, that'd be 2 photos. And then these vials of salt have 3 placeable salt piles each, so that could be 9 photos right there. So I'll show you how to functionally cheat with this. I think they have plans in the works to prevent you from doing this anymore in the somewhat near future, but you'll get the idea. Place them all in one spot. And then I like to place the vials next to it so you know how many piles of salt that is. That's 3 whole vials, 9 piles of salt. That's 9 photos if the ghost takes 1 step in it. That is a very cheaty way to get through that, but it's an in-game mechanic, so I'm taking advantage of it. So we'll need a photo cam to fill out the photo book. We could take the bone photo and then pick up the bone. It's important to remember to pick up the bone. What else do we need to do? We need the ghost to hunt and then escape the hunt, which we can do that by abusing the cursed possession. I feel like I'm probably missing something here that I could talk about, but honestly, that's straight up it. Each ghost has different characteristics. You can either look them up, or you can learn them from your friends, or you can just learn them anecdotally by playing the game. Some people experience different things with some ghosts. It's really just a lottery, honestly. Sometimes ghosts feel like they have different personalities when they're hunting at different times. Honestly, a lot of the information out there is kind of anecdotal. Some of it is actually pulled from the game, where people decompile the physical game and then look at the code to see what's going on. Others that developers have just really said, I don't know which is which is not which. I'm gonna do this because it looks funny. Yep. Oh, by the way, you can, some of the powered on electronics you can just click on. Like, let's go with this one. If I turn that on, nope, can't turn that off. I think if I had this set up differently, I could turn that on just by clicking on it rather than having to pick it up. But the way I have it set up now, I can still turn it off. EMF, you could turn it on and off just by clicking. Flashlight, you could turn on and off just by clicking. Dots, you could turn on and off just by clicking. And if you click it again, it pauses the dots in the location that it's currently at. Very useful. Sound sensors, you can change how they function, and they'll show up on the map to show what they're doing. I don't really know how to use them effectively. Motion sensors you can turn off when they are placed. This is helpful for ghosts like Raichus. We'll talk really much about them. I'm not going to focus too much on any one specific ghost because it's not the point. That's the fun of the game, is learning the ghosts, figuring out how they work, and sometimes abusing their own mechanics against them. I don't know why I have the sniffles. We're going to come in here. We're going to take a photo of the bone, pick it up. Just press E on the bone to pick it up. We can press, I think it's J normally. I repositioned or re-keyed mine to R for the journal. Go up here to the photos tab, 3-star photo. Basically, you want to be somewhat close to... Want to step in the salt for me? That'd be great. You want to be somewhat close to whatever you're taking the photo of, and you want to try to have it in a center-ish box, which I thought this camera used to have. I think the Tier 2 camera has that pretty nicely. I want to grab this and remove it, because I want to force the ghost to hunt here in a minute. If the crucifix is outside of the map, or like outside of the door, but like if I dropped it right here and the ghost hunted there, that crucifix would prevent that hunt, which is a little bit dumb, but I guess it makes sense. So I already took that one photo. I don't need to take any more because I'm planning on taking these 9 salt photos. I don't need to take any more with the camera. I can now walk in here, make sure scroll up and scroll down is both a smudge. Look at this once, that's 20%, ghost is in that room. Look at this again, that's another 20%, ghost is in that room. Look at this again, 60%, ghost is in that room. I was at about 90, ghost is hunting. I was at about 90% sand, or 95, so minus 60, that left me with 35. Now to escape the ghost during a hunt for the game, the ghost needs to have line of sight. You don't have to smudge it, you just need to not die. Nobody can die during a hunt. That's kind of one of the key things. But I smudge it, Tier 3 smudge stops it in its place. I run away. Got a nice hiding space. Once the lights all turn off, that's how you know that the ghost is done hunting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Normally, if you're just starting out with this, you'd probably want to take one photo and inspect it to make sure it's going well, but I've done this enough that I just know that those photos are going to work out. That is all objectives. We've collected the bone, and we have photo evidence that we collected the bone. We have all of our photos, and we know what the ghost type is. We have completed this contract. This is 100% perfect investigation. We still have multiple smudges. We could still do multiple things. We could still just play with this ghost if we wanted to. I didn't actually have to break the cursed possession there. I just had to get my sanity below a certain threshold. Depending on what ghost the mimic was mimicking dictates that. So, like I was talking about, the mayor can only hunt in a lit room when when the average sanity, I believe, is under 40%. Other ghosts, I don't know which ones. I try not to pay attention to them because I don't really enjoy knowing that much about the game. But other ghosts will hunt at 60% sanity or below, that kind of thing. Other ones, I think, are like 50% is about average, maybe 60%. So we got to make sure we have our ghosts selected. And if we have the wrong one selected and we leave, then we don't get paid. We get paid a little bit, but not nearly as much. I'm going to be saying a lot, aren't I? Yeah, that's straightforward. That's it. It's helpful to have the lights turned on, especially if you can't hear the ghost for some reason during a hunt, because when you see the lights turn off, that means the hunt is ended and you can leave. The ghosts, on average, there's 2 ghosts that hunt differently, but all the rest of them, which there is 24 ghost types, so 22 of the ghosts will hunt every 25 seconds if they can, or they have the ability to hunt after the end of a hunt 25 seconds later. They cannot hunt any sooner than that ever, unless you break a cursed possession or use a cursed possession that causes a hunt. And then after that 25 seconds is up, the ghost has the ability to hunt. It's a chance. Sometimes it could take 3 minutes, sometimes it would be immediate. The demon on this front can hunt after 20 seconds. So if you don't smudge it and the hunt ends, it can hunt 20 seconds later, or again, it could just be bad chance, bad luck, and it waits 3 minutes. The spirit, if you smudge it, has to wait 3 minutes to hunt as long as you don't interfere with the cursed possession. That's pretty much how you tell if it's not a spirit, basically, is if it waits 3 minutes to hunt after a smudge. I'm losing my voice almost here. I don't think I've ever talked this much in a sitting. But, so that's pretty much that, straightforward. There's other evidence that you can collect, which is straightforward if you are using the spirit box. You've seen what happens. Freezing temps, I showed you how that works. Same with ultraviolet and ghost orbs. Dots, you see all the green dots. Basically, if you see a silhouette of the ghost model walking around the room, that is your cue that you just got dots as an evidence. EMF 5 will be straightforward. The tier 1, 2, and 3 all have a 5 indication. If the needle or the LED is on 5, then you know you have EMF 5. And the ghost writing book, which I had somewhere, it's over there. If the ghost picks that up, literally writes in it, and then drops it back down, which it'll be very audible and visual, then you have ghost writing. There I go with the ums again. That's pretty much it. That's the basics. That's the how-to Phasmophobia. This is how we do it. I have a lot of challenges that I've done for myself on Nightmare and Insanity by just having to know the ghost traits. Some of them are straightforward and easy. Some of them are considerably more difficult. But you can check those out. I'll probably try to redo some of those. I recently tried to do one with just tier 1 starting items, basically as though I was brand new to the game. And I got my butt kicked by the ghosts. I was also doing it on Insanity, so maybe I'll try one of those, but with but on Professional, Zoe Prestiged. So let's get out of here. We got Mimic selected. Always make sure of that before you head out. I am a walking, talking headset. That's funny. Mimic. And because we did, oh, there's a skip button back here, down here, by the way. I clicked on it instinctively. You don't have to watch all the numbers tick up. I know some people like to watch the numbers go up, but you don't have to. Perfect investigation bonus, that's what we were going for. We got an extra $225, which does get multiplied by the 3 times rewards. Pretty much the multiplier, everything above it gets multiplied, and everything below it just gets added. So if we didn't do this, then we would be missing out, I believe. I don't know, now that I say that, that doesn't quite make sense. 225 times 3, 675 bucks. I don't know if that's right or not. I've always just tried to go for perfect investigation bonus. But anyway, I think that is the bulk of my knowledge on this. That should get most of you started into the game. There are a lot more little cliche or niche little knowledge items in here, and you're just gonna have to learn them as you go. We do get these awesome events from the developers on not quite rare occasions, but mainly holidays and themed days or things like that. So like we had one on Easter, which I actually have a trophy from that one. We got one from Easter, we got one from winter or Christmas last year. This Blood Moon one, it was this Halloween. And then over here in this case, as you collect bones, they fill up here. As you pull tarot cards, which is one of the cursed possessions, they fill out here. I don't remember. Oh, there we go. Using the music box, using the monkey's paw, using the mirror like we just did, the Ouija board, the voodoo doll, and the summoning circle. So, yep. Oh, I guess over here this is rather a new edition, but these are some of the challenges that you can go for. So the Blood Moon event is currently done. I don't know how long you're going to be able to collect on the rewards for this, but to do that, you walk up to that altar. If it's flashing, you click on it, you get your rewards. The other ones are Lighthouse Keeper, where, I mean, you just read through them. Requirements: correctly identify the ghost and survive. That's going to be all these up top, and you have to do it on Point Hope location, Point Hope Lighthouse. Correctly identify the ghost and survive. You can do this one on 2 maps, Maple Lodge and Camp Woodwind. Quickly identify the ghost and survive, and you can do this on Sunny Meadows Mental Institution, and maybe... For some reason I thought you could do this on Restricted, but maybe not. And then the Apocalypse ones are down here, where I'll have to show you that. You gotta level up almost to Prestige 1, I believe, to be able to do the Apocalypse challenges. But you go up here to your difficulty, you dial this around. Click this button, click Presets, and then you have your Apocalypse 3, 2, and 1. And you can click on those and read through all the settings for them. There's a lot of knowledge in this game. It is not as simple as it might look. It can be as hard as you want it to be. It can be as simple as you want it to be. You can cheat your way through by having a website of a knowledge well just pulled up that talks about ghost speeds and everything and has audio cues and whatnot. Or you can do what I do, where you just throw yourself into the game and try to hope that you learn enough from either watching streamers, YouTube videos, or just previous playthroughs of it. So I do hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that was some form of useful for you. There is I'm pretty sure she's subscribed, but there's a awesome subscriber named Moomis. She's got some numbers on the end of her name, and I can't remember what they are. I think it's like 612. She corrects me quite often, and it's usually because she's right. So look down in the comments for her corrections, because she'll correct me when I'm wrong, and she will give you the awesome correct information. All that being said, if you guys could like, comment, and or subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Anything that you can do for the channel helps me put more back into the channel for you. All that being said, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.